Hey, good morning from Cradle Mountain, Tasmania. This is the same place where I filmed yesterday, and it was an amazing day. Things and temperature here and weather can change drastically from one day to another. One thing about Tasmania is it looks very different when it's a nice day, and it looks completely opposite when it isn't. Although now, because we are in the mountain, it looks very good. You don't really want this kind of weather when you are at the seaside. There hot weather is always so. This is the place which I love the most, I think. Cradle Mountain area, it's an amazing, full of wildlife. Every night I would be coming out here and see some possums. There are a couple of donkeys here, lots of wallabies wandering around at night. It really feels amazing. I love Cradle Mountain, I love Tasmania, and I do hope to be back soon. There are so many places which I haven't been. Then now, stick around for the full video with me talking under a better weather. I hope you enjoy this video. Comment, subscribe. I do have a couple of places which I marked in Google Maps, so if you need it I can share the link with you. And thanks for watching. Okay, test. So windy. Yo. Welcome to Van Diemen's Land, or Tasmania, or Tassie. Most people know this place as Tassie. So I want to talk to you about this trip that we planned more than a year ago. We are now in Cradle Mountain, and this is the end of the 2 weeks trip that we had here. We did a lap of Tasmania, how they call it. Basically we rented a car and did a loop. Let me start by telling you why we chose Tasmania. I think a couple of years back I heard this story from my wife that in Tasmania there are the best oysters in the world. Can't get fresher than this. Oysters, 11 a.m. sharp. We got there at the oyster farm, staying in line for oysters, up near the sea, enjoying the oysters. Beautiful Tassie. And not only that, but you can find them by just going anywhere, any beach or any water. You can find them, fresh oysters everywhere. And my idea of Tasmania was this rugged, wild place where you can go to any beach and eat oysters fresh out of the water without paying any money. That story is very funny. We'll get to the realities of it, but let's start with our journey. As I said, we're on Cradle Mountain. We were very lucky to be here. It's an amazing place, but it all started in Hobart. More about Tasmania. Tasmania is one of the Australia's smallest states, and half of it is national park. It's very green, very lush, very few people living here. Chinese tourists used to make a big proportion, a big number of the visitors here. That kind of changed, and I'll get into that later and how that changed and why, and if it's good or bad. So let's start with our trip. I'm gonna give you a breakdown on what we did here, what you can do here. Hopefully this will help you in your planning or future vacation in Tasmania. There are a couple of the ways to get here. Either by flight to Hobart is the international airport, or you come by boat from Melbourne with this boat called Spirit of Tasmania. Amazing name. You can also have your car on the ship. It's a big ship. I understand it's pretty rough. The seas are pretty rough, so gotta make sure it's not those rough days, but you can't really predict it. So Hobart, small little city, capital of the state. We arrived there on a Saturday. We jokingly said, I think it was 9-10 a.m. and very few people on the streets. We jokingly wondered where everybody was, but what's very famous for on Saturday is the famous Salamanca Market. I was joking with a friend of mine that, you know, coming from Singapore and Southeast Asia, we've seen quite a large amount of markets, day markets and night markets, and I was a bit concerned that this could be one of those little small things, very disappointing things. It only happens on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that, but I do know they finish around 2 p.m. If you're in Hobart, it's worth. My impression of this market, good enough. Exceeded my expectations. They have a lot of stalls with stuff that, you know, you find it in any Asian market. But what I liked about it is the fact that they had a lot of local produce or local item manually manufactured here in Tasmania. It seems that the people here are very proud to be from Tasmania, from Tassie, and to have either local produce or honey or wine or whiskey that's distilled or manufactured here. So very nice. A lot of hats, wardrobe items, bracelets, and all sorts of stuff that I personally don't like or enjoy, but it's definitely good enough if you're on Saturday to visit this. There are quite a few stalls with food, and you can find everything that you like or you don't like. Definitely you won't starve. As I said at the beginning, I came here in Tassie for oysters, and the first meal from Salamanca Market was a dozen of oysters, which they didn't disappoint. The city itself is pretty. There are quite a few restaurants. They have a very nice marina where the boats are, so quite a few seafood restaurants there. One of the places we really wanted to see was Museum of New and Old Art, Museum of Old and New Art, MONA. Very interesting space. Luckily our accommodations were really close to it. 5 minutes walk or 2 minutes drive, so that really helped. Yeah, so MONA is a must visit. Personally, if you like or you don't like art, I think you should go. The building itself is impressive. Majority of it is underground, so you won't see much of it above ground. It is very, very impressive, provocative.
We should do one for Pinnacle.
Quirky. They have modern art, they have old art that you could also be impressed. For example, a handwritten letter by Charles Dickens. My favorite was Andy Warhol. It was incredible. Besides the art, they have a very nice garden where they have a few restaurants and bars. They have a playground, a vineyard that's on the premises. It is really a good way to spend half a day or a full day if you want. One of the days trip that we took from Hobart was to Port Arthur. Now, another thing about Tasmania is that it used to be a place for convicts, and Port Arthur is one of the most notorious places. But now I think Tasmania and the Aussies are embracing the realities, and it is a UNESCO heritage. I do recommend to go there because it's a very nice drive in the Tasman Peninsula, and there are a lot of other things to do which we didn't do this time, but it's a very nice drive and it's very well maintained, very well organized. I do recommend to take a guided tour, mostly because it's not about the buildings they show you or the history of the buildings, but more about particular stories about the convicts there or particular convicts. And it's very nice because these guides are very knowledgeable and they are definitely passionate about what they're doing. From there we drove to Freycinet or Cove Bay, which is an amazing national park. I was very excited for the oysters there, to be honest, and there are many vineyards that you can choose from. Very close by, you can drive. Oh, the oysters are really amazing. You can get them from the oyster farm or you can get them from the restaurant. The oyster farm is about 20-25 Aussie dollars for a dozen. The restaurant is going to be much more expensive. Wineglass Bay is a must. Definitely a very good view, a very good trek to go there. It better be a nice day, because if it's not a nice day or a sunny day, then I don't think the views are that magnificent. But we really got a nice day and we also went down to the beach. There are quite a few steps to go to the beach, 931 steps. Do let me know if you have a different number, but we really enjoy the hike. There are a lot of hikes you can do there, short or more difficult. So as I said, it's weather dependent. It's beautiful on a sunny day, could be quite terrible if the weather is not good. And the last day when we left, it really got very rainy, and I was really happy that we got a very nice day. And you are on the east coast of Tasmania, don't miss out Mariah Island. Do not pronounce it Maria, it's Mariah, like Mariah Carey. It's a sanctuary of natural beauty and history. It is, of course, like a lot of things in Tassie, an ex-convict place, so the convict history will show its teeth as you discover Tassie. It is a place where, you know, the ticket to get there is not cheap, but it is a very beautiful place that I recommend to visit. Yeah, so Mariah Island reminded me a bit, or in my mind I thought it would be a sort of Rottnest Island for those who visited the one in Western Australia next to Perth. We've been there, we rented some bicycles and we went around the island. Mariah Island, they have bicycles to rent, but I don't know if I recommend it because it's very, very hilly and it can get very steep and very windy, as I said. So I think it's much better to go there and walk it by foot. It is a big island. I recommend to take the earliest ferry, and the last ferry is at 4:30 p.m. So if you want to make the best of it, go early to the hike and come back in the evening. Interesting fact, as I said, there's no accommodation there. However, there are two options of accommodation. One of them is bring your own camp, so you can camp there, which is super cool. You can imagine everybody leaves the island and you'll be left alone. A couple of people on the island. And there's also the prison. There is an ex-prison there, and you can book those rooms. I don't think there's I don't know if there's any heating or even electricity, but you can sleep. Mariah Island, beautiful, amazing. We loved it, and we recommend. Do remember there are no shops, no trash bins, so you gotta bring your food with you, and any trash you gotta bring back. No permanent residence there, just pure untamed nature. All the brochures that we read spoke about how much wildlife you're gonna encounter there, how many wallabies, how many possums, but we didn't meet that many. As a matter of fact, in Cradle Mountain, we had a lot more wildlife in our back garden than on this island. However, it is a pristine, beautiful place. Amazing on a clear, sunny day. It can get very windy there, so bear in mind. We continued on the east coast to St. Helens. We stayed in St. Helens, a very small little town close to the seaside. The stretch of coastline is famous for its pristine beaches, clear waters, clear blue waters, and granite boulders that are orange. That's why they call them the Bay of Fires. Sadly for us, we got a very bad weather during this time. We got rain, we got clouds, so it wasn't very nice. And to be honest, Bay of Fires, it's nice, but it isn't that impressive. I mean, the whole stretch is full of colorful boulders, but St. Helens itself is a charming fishing town, perfect for enjoying fresh seafood if you can find it. Do remember, Australia, everything closes at around 8 p.m, so prepare your dinner. The drive in Tasmania is really amazing. One of the reasons we did this is because we do love road trips. It's very, very nice. I mean, it's full of nature. The roads are not busy, and we are in a busy season now. It's summer here. It's one of those places that are probably underrated, and I think they will become very busy in the years to come, because to be honest, in the 2 weeks we've been here, we barely saw people, or many people, or hordes of tourists in the places we've been. So everything is at its own pace. You really come here to relax, to disconnect, to take it easy. If you are not a nature lover, I don't think this is for you. But if you are, this is an amazing paradise. We spent a couple of days in Launceston. It's a very nice city north, smaller than Hobart, but very, very cozy, very nice. It's walkable. I think you can find everything within 2 kilometer radius. But it's very famous for its wine region. There are so many wineries around Lonnie. Okay, that's how the locals know Launceston. And we did a wine tour. We visited 4 wineries. We learned from this tour that Chinese tourists used to come here quite often, but this changed after 2020, which is a bit difficult for the locals. We noticed and we learned that a lot of these wineries are now for sale, mainly because they don't have enough tourists to come at the cellar door, and because they're small enough and they don't really produce. So it's probably gonna turn in a few years. That's why I think now is a very good period to visit Tassie before the whole world will discover it. And I said we're in Cradle Mountain right now. It is an amazing, the hiker's paradise. It's really amazing. It's one of Tasmania's most iconic destinations, national parks with mountains, etc. Unfortunate fact is that except today, which is our last day, the previous 2 days have been raining, dark. We went to Cradle Mountain yesterday, got there, it's freezing. First of all, it's freezing. It's summer, but it's freezing. It's around 5 degrees. Yeah, we decided that probably we're gonna come again, but today it rained again, so unfortunately we didn't go to Cradle Mountain. And this is one of the things that I'm very sad about. I really planned this trip to end with Cradle Mountain, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's full of wildlife here. If you go in the garden in the evening, you'll find 10 wallabies jumping around, and I think they're everywhere. Sadly, they're also on the road. Although there aren't that many cars, there's a lot of roadkill. Things I wish I knew before, probably nothing. I knew it was summer and I knew it was relatively cold, so depending on where you are in Tassie, it can get very warm. It's about 25 degrees, probably the hottest. But if you are in the mountains or in a more cold, it can get to 5 degrees. We had to have a fire or something warm in the room. Take warm clothes, because during the day it's hot, but during the night in the evening can get pretty chilly. Tassie is pretty much cashless. You can just pay everything by card. Yeah, food wise, it is a food paradise like everywhere in Australia. Fish and chips is almost like the national dish. You can find excellent fish and chips everywhere. Yeah, probably one of the most disappointing ones were at Lobster Shack. It's very famous, but to be honest, it was the most disappointing. So give it a go if you're in the area. Everything closes down around 8 p.m. So as I said, your dinner arrangements or make your reservations. A lot of places you'll need a reservation, so make sure if it's a nicer place you reserve, especially in the bigger cities like Hobart and Launceston. One of the more interesting places, and we took a long drive toward that and some very windy roads. It's Pub in the Paddock, a very old pub right in the middle of nowhere. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, and they have a incredible story, a lot of history on the wall, and they have very good food, and I think it's an awesome experience, especially as I said, it's in the middle of nowhere in a beautiful location. As a bonus, they have a beer drinking pig. So Tassie is one of those places that I didn't know what to expect. I knew it would be amazing, but it exceeded my expectations by a lot. Yeah, I felt closer to nature. It's one of the freshest airs that you would probably breathe, and as I was here I was trying to breathe harder and faster than other places, and of course at night sky is completely dark and you can see the stars. On a clear night you can see the stars. Amazing. You just go out in the garden and look at the stars. Tassie has one interesting fact, one interesting animal, which is the Tasmanian devil. It's not a devil that much. It looks very funny. It's used to be an endangered species, and we went to a sanctuary, saw these little creatures. They're interesting, scavengers, so they eat what they find. They eat meat. Interesting. It was an interesting experience to see Tasmanian devil. You can only find it here in Tasmania, nowhere else.
So these guys are the largest carnivorous marsupial in the world, ever since the extinction of the Tassie tiger. They are carnivorous in that they obviously enjoy eating meat. And they are marsupials too, so just like kangaroos, they actually have the pouch that they raise their babies in. So they're mostly scavengers. About 80% of their diet is food they find. They're quite short and stocky, as you can see, so they're not really very good at running for long periods of time. They've only got a top speed of about 25 kilometers an hour for 100 meters, and then they actually overheat and have to stop to cool down.
Other interesting animals, I've seen the white kangaroo, which is basically a albino kangaroo. As I said, kangaroos everywhere, wallabies are everywhere, all sorts of birds and lizards. Here it is an animal paradise, and I do hope it stays the same. Yeah, in conclusion, I'm sad I have to leave Tassie tomorrow, drive to Hobart, then head back to Singapore. But we had great food here, we had great wines, we visited so many cellar doors and wineries here, a couple of breweries and a couple of distilleries. People are very nice here, very friendly. It's a perfect getaway. Too bad it's a bit far away from everything, so you need to fly quite a couple of hours to get here, but it doesn't disappoint. I love Tasmania and I hope to be back. As I said, I didn't take Cradle Mountain, so maybe next time. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in the next episode. Let me know if there's anything specific you want to know about Tasmania, and I'm happy to send you recommendations. Bye bye.